The afternoon sun cast a golden hue over the quiet neighborhood as the car rolled to a stop in front of the old family house. The place had not changed much. Familiar white walls, the wooden porch slightly worn from years of use, and the faint scent of jasmine lingering in the air. Stepping out of the car, the traveler hesitated, gripping the handle of their small suitcase. It had been years, too many years. The last time they stood here, they had sworn never to return. But life had a strange way of pulling people back to the places they tried to leave behind. The door creaked open before they could knock. A pair of familiar eyes stared back, cautious, searching. There was a long pause, heavy with unspoken words, before a single whisper broke the silence. "You came back." The warmth in the voice was hesitant, almost fragile, as if afraid to hope. A deep breath, a nod. And then, stepping inside, they crossed the threshold. Not just into the house, but into a past that had never truly let them go. The living room was the same, yet different. The furniture still sat in its familiar places, but the air carried the weight of time, of years lost, of words left unsaid. The silence between them stretched, filled with memories that neither dared to touch. Finally, the voice broke through again. "You look different." A small smile, barely there. "So do you." They sat down across from each other, the space between them wider than the years that had passed. The questions were there, unspoken, hanging heavy in the room. Where have you been? Why did you leave? Why did you never come back? Instead, the first words were simple. "Are you staying?" A hesitation, a flicker of doubt. "I don't know." The answer was honest, yet it carried a deeper truth neither wanted to face. Staying meant confronting the past, and that was a road neither of them was ready to walk. But the past had a way of waiting, and sooner or later it would demand to be heard. The night was quiet, but inside the house, the past stirred. Shadows from old photographs lined the walls, silent witnesses to a time that once felt unbreakable. As they wandered through the dimly lit hallway, fingers traced the edges of a familiar frame. The picture inside was faded, yet the moment it captured remained clear. Laughter frozen in time, a family whole, before everything fell apart. A voice behind them broke the stillness. "You remember that day?" They turned. The other stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching. "Of course," came the quiet reply. It had been a day like any other, ordinary yet full of the kind of happiness that seemed impossible to reclaim now. But in the years since, truths had surfaced. Truths that changed everything. "Things were different then," the voice murmured. A nod. "We were different." Silence stretched between them again, but this time it wasn't empty. It was filled with the echoes of what once was, of the things they could never take back. And somewhere in those echoes, the truth was waiting to be faced. The argument started softly, like a whisper of thunder before a storm. A single word led to another, and soon the room was thick with tension, voices rising, old wounds ripping open. "You left without a word." "You don't understand why I had to go." "Because you never explained." The accusations hit hard, sharpened by years of silence. Pain simmered beneath every sentence, frustration pouring out in words they had both held back for too long. "It wasn't just you who suffered," came the quiet but firm reply. "We all did. You think you were the only one hurting?" A sharp inhale. A pause. But the anger did not fade. "You had a choice. We didn't." The weight of those words settled like a stone between them. There was truth in them, undeniable and bitter. Silence took over again, but this time it was different. It wasn't just heavy. It was fragile, like the final thread holding them together was close to snapping. And if it did, there would be no turning back. The silence stretched long after the argument had ended. Words had been thrown like knives, leaving wounds that might never fully heal. But even through the hurt, something remained. Something deeper than anger, stronger than resentment. Family. A quiet sigh broke the stillness. "I never wanted to hurt you," came the first admission, raw and unguarded. "I thought leaving was the only way." A slow nod. Maybe it was, but it hurt all the same. The weight of the years between them felt lighter now, not gone, but shifting. For the first time, they were seeing each other clearly, not as the people they had been, but as the people they had become. A hesitant step forward, a moment of hesitation, and then, finally, a gesture that spoke louder than any apology. A hand placed gently over another. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was something, a beginning, because no matter how far they had drifted, the ties that bound them had never truly broken. The weight of the past still lingered. But now, a new question loomed over them, one that neither had dared to ask before. What happens next? The words hung between them, uncertain, fragile. They had spent so much time looking back, but the real challenge was what lay ahead. Could they rebuild what was lost? Was it even possible? A choice had to be made. They could walk away again, retreat into old habits, pretend that some things were beyond repair. Or they could stay. Stay and fight for the family they once had. For the love that had never truly disappeared, no matter how deeply it had been buried. A deep breath. A glance exchanged. Then finally, an answer. "I don't know if we can fix everything," came the quiet admission. "But I want to try. No promises, no guarantees, just the willingness to take the first step. And sometimes, that was enough." The days that followed were not easy. Conversations felt careful, like walking on thin ice, but each step forward was a small victory. They talked, really talked, for the first time in years. About the past, about the pain, about the things they had never said but should have. There were moments of tension, moments of hesitation, but also moments of laughter, soft, hesitant at first, then real. Through it all, one truth became clear. The past could not be changed, but it could be learned from. "We made mistakes," one of them admitted one evening, staring out at the fading sunlight. "We did," the other agreed, "but we're still here." And that mattered, because family was not about perfection. It was about choosing each other, again and again, despite the scars, despite the past. And in that choice, they found something they had almost lost. Hope. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of fresh beginnings. For the first time in a long while, the house felt different. Not just a place filled with memories, but a home where new ones could be made. Breakfast was quiet but peaceful. No tension, no lingering resentment, just the gentle clinking of plates, the warmth of shared space. As they cleared the table together, a simple question broke the silence. "So, what now?" A pause, then a small, knowing smile. "We keep going." There were still wounds to heal, still conversations to have, still moments where the past might threaten to pull them apart again. But this time, they weren't running. They were choosing each other, choosing to rebuild, step by step, day by day. Because family wasn't about never breaking. It was about always finding a way back. And this time, they would.